Today we're going to be doing the week 12 AMS math quiz. Before we start, all I have to say is one thing. This quiz needs a ton of focus, and solving its exam needs even more focus. So all I'm going to say, if you're not focused when you're solving in the AMS, this quiz is you can get errors so easily. All you have to do is focus and you'd get good though. It's really easy, but all it needs is a ton of focus. Now, let's start. The price of a mobile phone decreased from $500 to $400 in 1 year. So the percentage decrease in price was, so it went from 500 to 400 over, you do 500 over minus 400 over original price. So you're left with, times 100 of course. So you're left with 100 over, you're left with 1 over 5 times 100, which is 0.20 times 100, which is 20%. And there you have your answer. Now, Rami invested $5,000 in an account that pays an annual interest rate of 3% compounded annually. To the nearest $100, what's his value of investment? Now, to calculate this, you need to do 5,000. You need to actually apply the formula, which is P into 1 plus N over 100, or is it R over 100? Sorry, it's R over 100. R over 100 to the power of N years. So P is 5,000 into 1 plus 3 over 100 to the power of the amount of years, so 5. Once you put this into your calculators, you're gonna get a number like, wait, let me just do it really quickly. You're gonna get a number that's like 5796.37, whatever. They said to the nearest $100, so you look at the $100 value, which is the 7 here. Look to the number behind it. Is it bigger than 5? Yes. So it's 5, 8, and then 0, 0. And that's your nearest $100 value. Now, the last part. It says that if the price of an item increased by 30% to become 117, the price before the increase was, so you had to increase x plus 0.30x. X is the price. You had to increase 0.30 of the price to become 117. So x plus 0.30x is 1.30x. And we know 1.30x equals 117. So x equals 117 over 1.3, which equals to 90. And that's your final answer. Moving on. Okay, now from here on, please focus. Now select on the grid below the vertices of an image of ABC under an enlargement with center at the origin on a scale factor of 0.2 followed by a rotation of 90 degrees clockwise about the origin. Now, first thing you need to do is identify your points. So A is -1. It's 0, -1. B is -1, 1. C is it's 2, -1. Now, first of all, you're gonna have to, with center at the origin, and you want an enlargement of scale factor -2. Now, there is a long rule for enlargement or dilation, but it's only when it's not around the origin. When it's around the origin, you're gonna take 0, multiply it by -2, and then -1 multiplied by -2. So first, A prime was gonna give you 0 times -2 stays 0, and -1 times -2 is 2. I'll give you the other long formula for dilation not around the origin later when it's not. So first let's do the dilation or like the enlargement first for all the points, then we'll do the rotation. Now B will become, so B prime is -1 times -2 is 2. 1 times -2 is -2. Now C prime is 2 times -2 is -4. And -1 times -2 is 2. So that's all your points after the enlargement. Now, when you say rotation of 90 degrees clockwise, there's a little rule you need to memorize. When you're doing 90 degrees clockwise, so let me just write it down here. If A was X and Y, and it underwent a rotation about origin, that's -90 degrees, which means 90 degrees clockwise. -90 and 90 degrees clockwise is the same thing, by the way. You're gonna have A is gonna become A, Y, -X. So first of what's gonna happen is Y and X are gonna switch, and the X is gonna become negative. So let's apply that. So A prime prime equals 2 and 0 are gonna flip, and 0 becomes negative, but 0 can't really be negative, so it stays the same. Now here, let's do B prime prime. So -2 and 2 switch, and the 2 is gonna get negative, so it's becoming -2, -2. C prime prime is gonna become 2, -4, and -4 is gonna switch its sign, so it becomes 2 and 4. Now we need to plot our new points. First you go to 2, 0, which is here. Then you go to -2, -2, so -2, -2, which is here. Then you go to 2, 4, 2 and 4. And then this is your new triangle after a scale factor of -2 and the rotation 90 degrees clockwise. This is probably the easiest question here with the rotations. Now let's move on. Okay, here we need to look at the question really carefully. So first of all, they're telling you points P and Q are given. P is the point 1, 4, its coordinates, and Q is the point 4, 2. And PQ as a vector is equal to, you first go how many units left and then how many units down. So it's equal to 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, so -2. Okay, just write down everything you know. Now this is everything that was given in our picture. And then they gave us PR is 2, -2. So you have another point, PR. So we start from P and we go 2, which is 1, 2, and then -2, 1, 2. So this is your point R here. Okay? So XY is a vector in the same direction as PR, or sorry, as RQ. Oh yeah, sorry. So RXY is the vector in the same direction as RQ with the magnitude of XY equal twice of the magnitude of RQ. Now let's look at the questions. The coordinates of R are, we just found the coordinates of R here, and the coordinates of R are gonna be 3 and 2. Moving on, the vector RQ can be represented by, so we said R was here, right? So RQ is 1 unit left, 1 unit to the right. I've been saying left the whole time. It's because I'm left-handed, I switched them up. Anyways, 1 unit right and no units down. So the vector can be represented by 1 and 0. Okay? Yeah. Now, XY, we were told in the question that XY equals 2 RQ. That's what we were told in the question. So you just multiply this by 2. Then 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 0 is 0. And this is your new vector, or your column vector. And that's it for this question. Okay, so the pre-image of under a rotation of about the origin, that's 90 degrees counterclockwise. Now we already said clockwise. Now let's do counterclockwise. So if you had X and Y, and it underwent a rotation about origin, that's 90 degrees. You're gonna get A prime is equal to negative Y positive X. So you're gonna again flip X and Y, but this time Y is gonna be negative, not X. Yeah. So let's do it. So P 6 negative 4 once we rotate it, they're gonna flip their ways. Wait, guys, I realized that I was doing something wrong. I didn't read the question. Sorry, the pre-image of. So this is P prime. This is your image. So P, which is something we don't know yet, underwent a 90-degree counterclockwise rotation to become P prime, which is 6 negative 4. That's why I was confused. So we know that that the X and Y have switched and that the Y became negative. So first you're gonna switch these, negative 4 and 6, and we know that the Y became negative. So this became negative, or you flip the sign of this. So first you have to flip the sign of this. So your points are negative 4, and then the Y flip its sign, which in this case would be the X. That's it. You're gonna see another example of this after this one, I think. So what we did was, I'm gonna re-explain, because my bad, guys. So they gave us the image, and they want what's before the image. And we know that AXY, if you rotate it 90 degrees about the origin, it's gonna become A prime, which is negative YX. So 6, 4, or 6 negative 4 is negative YX. So XY would be negative 4 and negative 6. Okay, that's all we did. Now moving on. My bad, guys, again. Here again they told us the pre-image. Okay, so they gave us the image and they want what's before the rotation. Now any rotation, there's another rule for 180 degrees. So A under a rotation is, AXY under a rotation of 180 degrees about the origin, or about, I'm just gonna write O instead of origin, 180 degrees equals to A prime, which you're gonna become negative X, negative Y. So all that happens here is X and Y flip their signs. So you have K prime, or I like calling it K, which we don't know yet, underwent a rotation of 180 degrees and become K prime, which is negative 3, negative 2. What was the thing before? So flip the sign, just 3, 2, and that's it. Moving on. Okay, this question's a bit, it's not tricky, no question here is tricky, they just all need focus. So now let's start. Now first thing, they're telling us, select on the grid below the vertices of the image of ABC under a translation given by this vector, followed by a reflection about x equals negative 1. Now, first things first, again, we write our points. A is 3, -3. B is 1, 2. C is -4, -1. Now, first you want to do the translation given by this vector. So for the translation, 3 minus 2 is 1. -3 plus 3 is 0. 1 minus 2 is -1. 2 plus 3 is 5. -4 plus -2 is -6. And -1 plus 3 is 2. Now we have all our values after translation. And guys, wait, so B is actually -1, 2, sorry. So this translation wouldn't be -1 and 5. It would be -3, 5. This is what I'm talking about. It needs focus. Like, please just put your points right in the exam and really focus when you're solving. Now, when they tell us reflection in the line x equals -1, there's a few steps you have to do. Step 1, I'm gonna explain it on point A first. So we have now 1, 0 is our new A prime. Now, first of all, when they tell you reflection in the line x equals -1, y stays the same. So y is gonna remain 0 in A prime prime. Now, for the x, here's what you're gonna do. So 1 plus n equals -1, which is this number. Okay? So n is gonna equal to -2, right? Because 1 plus -2 equals -1. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna add to your n the -1, so plus -1, which gives you -3. And that is your point A prime prime, which is here. Now, let's do the same for point B. So for point B prime, it's -3, 5. Now B prime prime is gonna be something 5. So the 5 remains the same. The y stays the same. Now for the -3, so it's -3 plus n equals -1. So n is gonna equal to 2. Now 2 plus -1, which is 2 minus 1, is 1. So your B prime point is 1, 5. Here. Let's do the same one more time for C. So C prime is -6, 2. So C prime prime would be something 2. So -6 plus n equals -1, and then n equals 5. 5 minus 1 gives you 4. And your last point is 4, 2. So making your triangle this. See what I mean when I said it needs focus? So this is our new triangle under a translation and under the reflection of x equals -1. Moving on to our next question. Now for this question, they say select on the grid below the vertices of the image of ABC under an enlargement with center at the origin and a scale factor of 2, followed by a reflection of the line x equals 1. Now, again, we have an enlargement. Nothing new. So, you have the vertices. Let's first write down our points A, which is 0, -1. B, which is 1, 1. -1, 1. I keep mixing them up. Anyways, C, which is 2, -1. Now, what's it called? So first, we have an enlargement with the center and the origin at the origin. So the center and its scale factor is 2, enlargement. So it's gonna become A prime, which is 0 times 2 is 0, -1 times 2, -2. Now, B prime is -1 times 2 is -2, 1 times 2 is 2. C prime, 2 times 2 is 4, -1 times 2 is -2. These are our first set of points after the enlargement. Now we need to reflect it on the line x equals 1. When they tell us line x equals 1, it's like x equals -1, but you're gonna equal it to 1 instead of -1. Let's start. So A prime, which is 0, -2. -2 is gonna stay the same. Now 0 plus n equals 1. So n equals -1. 1 equals 1. 1 plus 1, 2. So A is 2, -2. So 2, -2. Now B prime is -2, 2. So B prime is gonna be something 2. Now -2 plus n equals 1. N equals 3. Wait, is it 3? Yeah, 3. 3 plus 1, 4. Second point is at 4, 2. Now C prime is 4, -2. C prime, something -2. Now 4 plus n equals -1, equals 1. N equals -3. -3 plus 1 equals -2. So our point is at -2, -2. And this would be our new triangle. Now, I think there's only like one more question of these types. Let me check. Yep. Now let's begin. Okay. So here we have an enlargement with center point -1, 1. Sorry guys, I have hiccups. Select on the grid below the vertices of ABC under an enlargement with center point -1, 1 and scale factor 2 followed by a translation of the given step by step. So first our points again. A is 0, -1. B is -1, 1. C is 2, -1. Now let's write down the steps for an enlargement. So we have, let's say we have the steps are M, X, Y. If you want it under a dilation of 1K, or it's IK by the way, not 1, IK, becomes M prime is X prime, Y prime. X prime is equal to K, which is your scale factor, X, plus 1 minus K into XI. Y prime equals KY plus 1 minus k into yi. You're gonna ask, okay, what's yi and xi? Xi is negative 1, yi is 1, which is your center points. Now, let's do this for all our points. 0. So 0 times k, which is 2, gives you 0. 0 plus 1 minus 2 into xi, which is negative 1. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 1 is 1. So your new x would be x would be 0 plus 1, which is 1. Now ry would be, so negative 1 times 2 would be negative 2 plus negative 1, sorry, it's negative 1 times 1, because look, this is our y, so it would be plus negative 1, because this would be, it's 1 minus 2 into 1, which is negative 1 into 1, which is negative 1, so negative 2 plus negative 1 is negative 3. That's our A prime. 1, negative 3. Let me just check something. It would be 2, negative 3. Okay. That's for our point A. Let's do our point B now. Later we'll worry about the translation. Translations are easy. B is negative 1, 1. So negative 1 times 2 plus 2 minus 1, or 1 minus 2, sorry, my bad, 1 minus 2 into negative 1. So it's negative 2 plus, this is negative 1 into negative 1, so plus 1, so this is negative 1. So B prime, our first point, is negative 1. So now our y would be, so 1 times 2 plus 1, or just negative 1 at this point, into 1, which is negative 1. So it's 2 plus negative 1, which is 2 minus 1, which is 1. Now for C. And of course I had to accidentally click the screen twice. It's fine though. Now for C, 2 into 2 plus negative 1 times negative 1, which is 1, would be 4 plus 1, so it's gonna be 5. Now y would be, our y is, sorry, negative 2, so negative 2 times 2, which means negative 4, plus negative 1 times 1, which is negative 1, so negative 4 minus 1, or plus negative 1, which is negative 5. Oh my gosh, I'm actually gonna die, because this is negative 2, 1 for C, not negative 2, 2. So, sorry, again. Now let's redo this part because it was wrong. So negative 1 times 2 gives us negative 2. Negative 2 plus negative 1 is negative 3. So 5, negative 3. Okay? Now we're done all our enlargements. These are our new points. Now we need to undergo the translation, which is negative 3, 0. So A prime would be 1 plus negative 3, which is negative 2. Negative 3 plus 0 is negative 3. So you have a point at negative 2, negative 3. Now, B prime prime would be negative 1 plus negative 3, which is negative 4, and then 1 plus 0, which is 1. Then you'd have, go to 4, 1, you'd have a point. Now C prime prime would be 5 minus 3, which is 2, negative 3. So which is 2, negative 3. And this would be your new... That's the worst triangle I've drawn in my life. That's not even a triangle no more. And this would be your new triangle. And that's it for this question. Now from onwards from here, the questions get a lot easier. Now moving on. Here we have to do the dilation around the point, which is the same thing we were just doing. So 3 times 2 would be 6 plus 1 minus 2 into 0, which is 6 plus 0, which equals to 6. So your new x is 6. Now y, so 1 times 2, which is 2, plus 1 minus 2 into negative 4. So it's 2 plus 4, which is also 6. And that's it. Moving on. Here we have an enlargement again, but these are around the origin. So you just multiply the number by 2. So 2 times 2, 4. Negative 3 times 2, negative 6. Now this under a translation of this. So 4 plus 1 is 5. Negative 6 plus 5 is negative 1. Moving on. The first term of an arithmetic sequence is negative 4 and the common difference is 2. What's the sum of the first 20 terms? So we know the formula for this is Sn equals n over 2 into 2n1 or 2a1, yeah, 2a1, which is your first digit, and plus d, which is common difference, times n minus 1. So S of 20 would be 20 over 2 into 2 times the first digit, so negative 4, plus 2 into 20 minus 1, which is 19. Once you put all this into your calculator, we should be getting our answer, but let me do it really quickly just to make sure. And you get all this equal to 300, which is your answer. Moving on. Okay, so guys, here we have a Fibonacci sequence. To know the sequence, what does Fibonacci sequence mean? It means that you first take your first 2 digits, you add them, you get your third digit when you add them. So 3 plus 6 is 9. Then you get your fourth digit by adding the second and the third digit. So 6 plus 9, 15. So to get your fifth digit, you'd add the third and the fourth digit. So 9 plus 15 is 24. And that's how you do Fibonacci sequence. It's really easy. So your first 2 points are your set points. You add them to get your third point. Then your second and third point, you add it to get your fourth point. Third and fourth point to get your fifth point. And so on. Like now, if you wanted to do the one after it, it would be 15 plus 24, which would be 39. And that's it. Now, moving on. Okay, given in an arithmetic sequence with the first term 4 and the common difference 6. So, you want what's the 21st term. So, A21, we know it's equal to A1 plus, what's it called, n minus 1 into d. So A21 would be first term 4, then 21st minus 1, and d is 6. So 4 plus 20 times 6, which is 120, equals 124. Now the sum, again, sum of 21 equals 21 over 2 into 2 times 4 plus n minus 1, which is 21 minus 1, times 6. So 21 divided, once you put all that in your calculator, let me just do it really quickly. And you should get what's equal to 1,344. And that's it for this question. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, here we have an addition sequence. How do we know? Because 21 minus 15 will give us 6. 27 minus 21 is 6. 33 minus 27 is 6. So to get the next digit, you'd add 33 plus 6, which is 39. Moving on. Okay. They want the 51st term of the sequence, so A51 is equal to A1, which is 12, plus, is it 12? Yeah, 12 plus n minus 1, which is 51 minus 1, times 5. So 12 plus 50 times 5, which is 250, gives you 262. Moving on. These are all like old chapters so far. Okay, this is, I don't know when we took this. We probably took this like a few years ago, but I don't know why it's being brought up. Round this to 3 decimal places. When they say 3 decimal places, you take the first 3 digits after your decimal point. So 1, 2, 3. You look to the 4th one. Is it bigger than 5? No, it is not. So your decimal places would be 0.021. And that's your answer. Now moving on. Now, what's the number of significant figures in decimal points? This is how you do it. Any 0 before the decimal point, or like any 0 before an actual number in the decimal point is insignificant. So any 0 before a number is insignificant. But any 0 after any number in a decimal point is significant. So your significant figures would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's check 4. Moving on. This is a whole number, so how many significant figures is just practically just count the number of digits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's your answer. 5. Moving on. Again, they want us to round to 3 decimal places. So you look after your decimal point, 1, 2, 3. Is your last one bigger than 5 or 5? Yes. So it will be, you'd round this one up to 2 and you'd cancel everything else. So 0.032. And that's your answer. Moving on. This is all of this is about currencies and converting. So it's really easy to do. Now these are how much $1 is equal to in each of these currencies. Now $320 in Canadian dollars. So 320 is how many Canadian dollars? So in Canada, the exchange rate for $1, or $1 here, I'll write it, equal to 1.30 Canadian. So what we're gonna do is just cross multiply now. 1.30 times 320 is 416. Now that's it for this one. Now let's go on to euros. 316 euro is how many dollar? We know that $1 is 0.79 euros. So now 1 times 316 divided 0.79. So it's just 316 divided 0.79, which gives us equals $400. Now, these two are the easy ones, so we know how to do these two. Now let's go on to the harder ones where you have to do two like conversions. Now 158 euros is how many pounds? So first we're gonna do is 158 euros is how many dollars, and then we do that number of dollars to how many pounds. Now let's start. So 158 euros is, we know that $1 is 0.79 again. Now 158 divided 0.79 will give you $200. So we know that $1 is 0.59 of a pound. Now 200 times 0.59 equals to 118 euros, and that is it. Now for our last one, we have to do the exact same thing again. Now 354 pounds, how many dollars? And then that number of dollars in how many yen, Japanese yen. Now let's start. So we know $1 equal to 0.59 pounds. So 354 divided 0.59 gives you $600. Now $600, we know that $1 is equal to 125 yen. So 600 times 125 gives you 75,000 yen. And that is it. That's it for this quiz. Hope you understood everything. Have a great day. Bye.